Welcome back to the History Shelf, everybody. My name is Peg. I am your host. Today is all things Osprey. Got a lot of new releases to add to my military history store of books that I want to show you. A lot of these are the slim volumes that I have shown you in the past, but I've got a stack of them along with about a handful of hardcovers. But I'm going to kind of work my way through some of the new ones that have arrived in case you follow these nice little slim volumes and you want to see what's new from Osprey. I can hook you up. I can show you what has come in. So as you can see, quite a few, and they've been rolling in over the last few weeks. So let's start with, maybe I should break these up into the different series that they put out. I've talked to you about these before. They've got the Combat series, Campaign series, Duel series, Men at Arms series, and they also have Air Campaign. Did I say that? I don't think so. Oh, and then Elite. So we've got a little bit of each. I am sorting through these now. Got a couple of Men at Arms, a couple of Combat, a couple of Campaigns, one Elite, and a couple of Air Campaigns here. So I actually got 3 Air Campaigns. All right. Now that I have sorted all of these, let's start with the standalone, which is the Elite series. And what is the Elite series is just the history of military forces, artifacts, and personalities and techniques of warfare. Obviously centered around the elite warriors of whether ancient or contemporary times, modern times. So this one is pretty exciting. This one is Gladiators, 4th through the 1st centuries BC by Francois Gilbert, illustrated by Giuseppe Rava. Again, very slim little volumes. This is number Elite 246. I won't be able to read every blurb, but I'll give you a sense of what the Elite covers. Originating in funeral rites during the 4th century BC, the Roman gladiator games have come to symbolize the spectacle and savagery of republican and imperial Rome. An increasing variety of gladiator types entered the arena, each with its own distinctive weapons and equipment. While many gladiators met a grisly end, some survived to achieve celebrity status and make huge fortunes. Despite the wealth of literary and archaeological evidence, many misconceptions about the gladiators and their violent world remain. Featuring photographs and illustrations of key items of visual evidence and drawing upon the author's wealth of experience and research, this fully illustrated account recreates the little-known and underrepresented gladiators of the centuries leading up to the dawn of the Principate, correcting myths and casting new light on the roles, lives, and legacy of these legendary arena fighters. So 60 pages. So it's not real heavy on text here, but rich and, again, yes, richly illustrated. I love the original artwork. I just can't say enough about these series. I just love the artwork. Am I the only one? I just dig it, and it's just reminiscent of the Ancient Warfare magazine that I subscribe to, and it's one of the reasons I love it so much. So this is Elite series, Gladiators. Okay, and then we have, let's go down here to the Campaign series. All right. Campaign series typically have this orange or off orange, deep orange kind of color on the sides here and on the bottom. So we're going to start off with, let's start off with the ancient history, since we kind of left off there. So one of the newest in the series, and this is campaign number 382, is Karhai. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Karhai 53 BC, Rome's Disaster in the Desert by Nick Fields. And illustrated by Sean O'Brien. I know Martine would be able to pronounce that last name because that looks Irish. Definitely does. This one's a little thicker. We got about 96 pages worth. And what the campaign series do, obviously, is they highlight a particular battle or a campaign. And they detail like the command strategies, tactics, weaponry, battle experience of the opposing forces. So this one covers the Battle of Carrhae, which was a heady moment in Roman history, it says here, that of the clever carve-up of power between the first triumvirate of Caius Julius Caesar, Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, and Marcus Licinius Crassus. In a fascinating tale of treachery, tactics, and topography, Rome experienced one of its most humiliating defeats at the hands of the Parthians, not far from a trade route town on the fringes of the arid wastes of northern Mesopotamia, sending shockwaves through the Roman power structure. Join classical historian Dr. Nick Fields as he draws out the crucial psychological and political factors, including Crassus's lust for military glory and popular acclaim, that played a key role in this brutal battle. All right, and of course, fully illustrated. Look at this. Both pages. Freaking love it. This is great. This is great stuff. Maps showing you intricately how the battle unfolded at each stage. It's a different one. I mean, it's just awesome. I can't sing these praises enough of these little volumes from Osprey. All right, so the next campaign one I have is more of this one jumps way forward to World War II. This is the Battle of Malta. June 1940 to November 1942 by Anthony Rogers. Illustrated by Graham Turner. This is number 381. So this one came out before Carrhae. Okay. They don't go in chronological order as far as sequence of these events in history. It's just when they are ready to be published, and that's when they get their numbers. The Battle of Malta. Story of Malta in World War II is a story of triumph, dominating the central Mediterranean and the all-important sea routes to and from North Africa. The British Crown Colony endured repeated poundings by the Italian Regia Aeronautica and the German Luftwaffe. Dependent on naval supply convoys and reliant for defense on often outnumbered fighter aircraft and anti-aircraft guns, Malta's heroic survival provided the Allies with one of the first significant tactical and strategic victories of the war. These are more richly illustrated with photographs, except for one. I mean, just because, with ancient history, you have to use your imagination, right? We don't have photos. Obviously, World War II, any type of contemporary, as soon as photography was developed, they rely more on that type of illustration in the volumes. But even with World War II and contemporary, they still commission a couple of great, pieces of artwork. So, I mean, that's beautiful. And then another one. So, just wonderful series. I just love these, and I just eat them up as soon as I get them. Okay, so we've covered Campaign and the Elite. Now we're going to move to the series called Duel. I've got two brand new volumes of the Duel series. This one I'm very excited about because I've always been geeked out about these ships. This is Duel number 122, and this is Athenian trireme versus Persian trireme, the Greco-Persian Wars, 499 to 449 BC. I love looking at triremes. I don't know what my thing is, but I think I rushed out to go see the, it wasn't the sequel to 300, but that silly one. But it was supposed to cover the Battle of, I think, Salamis. And it was like this naval battle, and I just couldn't wait I knew it was all CGI, but whatever. I mean, obviously it's CGI. But I just wanted to see how they were going to show the triremes, and the ancient ships. I love reading about ancient, like, naval technology, how these guys got around, and what they ended up building was just amazing. So, again, a slim little volume. But the Duel series subtitle Engage the Enemy, is the account of machines of war pitted against each other and the combatants who operated them. Okay? Step onto the battlefield and immerse yourself in the experience of real historic combat. This is so dope. I'm just going to kind of just show you some... Isn't that awesome? Ooh, these are drawings of the rams. The different rams that you would see in the front of the prows of the ship. Some photographs of some of those reconstructed ones that they've done. People have tried to build them. You know, photos of them in the museums. But, yeah, that's what I love seeing. Bam! Look at it, it's getting rammed. So cool. And then maps. Sorry for the noise. It's been an exciting week here at the History Shelf. We're having, finally the landscapers are here in the backyard and they're coming around the front now. We're getting the yard landscaped. We have plants planted and ground being torn up and leveled and graded and making space for the sod. And next week, next Wednesday, we will be having our patio poured. The concrete will be poured. And the little pathway around the side. So it's a very exciting time here at Casa O'Keefeski, as we call it. The next duel I have is Duel 123, and we jump back up into World War II times. There's like a theme. We go from ancient to World War II. This is British Commonwealth cruiser versus Italian cruiser. The Mediterranean, 1940 to 43 by Angus Constam. Did I say that this one was by Nick Fields? I think I did. He's very prominent at Osprey. So this just kind of pits these two different types of cruisers against each other, compares and contrasts, shows the different technical specs, tons of photographs, inserts, maps, and good stuff. Who's this guy? Admiral Andrew Brown Cunningham. Got a little insert about this guy here. Just wonderful, handy little overviews. I just love them. So the next three I have are Air Campaign. And let's go in order. So then got Air Campaign 28. This is D-Day, 1944. The deadly failure of Allied heavy bombing on June 6th by Stephen A. Burke. Illustrated by Edward Gould. Very cool cover. See how they each have their own look. The Air Campaign is very sleek. It has like that metallic, fuselage, gray, silver color. It very much stands out. You can, I just like how they designed that. It was really smart. Kind of mimic that fuselage color. So Air Campaign series shows how history's greatest air wars were planned and fought, and why they were won and lost. So it's interesting. You think of D-Day, you just think of the men storming the beaches, but let's read a little bit about this one. June 6, 1944 is one of the most written about days in military history, but one part of D-Day has been ignored for most of a century: the massive bombing campaign that was launched against the Atlantic Wall early that morning. Professor Stephen Burke has long studied this crucial aspect of D-Day, and in this important book he explains how air power was meant to knock out German defenses before Allied troops hit the beaches. But on an otherwise successful day, these bombing raids were a disaster. I wonder why. Most of the bombs fell behind their targets, leaving the German defenses intact and ready to wreak havoc among Allied troops, while the rain of stray bombs killed many French civilians. With rare photographs, including reconnaissance photos of the defenses, as well as spectacular new artwork and informative maps and diagrams, this book answers the crucial question of why the Allies' overwhelming air power on D-Day failed in its duty. You see. That's a bigger picture of that. That's really great artwork. Ooh, that's also really astounding. So that's Air Campaign 28. Then we move on to Air Campaign 31. This is Gothic Line, 1944 to 45. The U.S. Army Air Force starves out the German Army by Thomas McKelvey Cleaver. Illustrated by Anastasios Polychronis. All right, so the Gothic line. What is the Gothic line? This is the story of how the Germans in Italy were defeated by American air power in one of the most pivotal but least known air campaigns of World War II. By late 1944, the Wehrmacht had retreated to the fortifications of the Gothic Line. Here, rail lines through the Alps linked them with the German Reich, with the trains arriving hourly and delivering 600,000 tons of supply a month. Thomas McKelvey Cleaver here explains how that winter the U.S. Army Air Force fought arguably the most successful air interdiction campaign in history to cut these rail lines in the face of fearsome flak and appalling weather. By February 1945, supplies were barely enough to keep the Army alive, and when the Allied ground attack began in April, it took less than 10 days for the Germans to sue for surrender. All right, and that's something I was not aware of. I haven't read very much about this campaign or this whole Gothic line, so it's going to be a learning experience for me with this one. I'm happy. And then Air Campaign number 32. This is about the Arctic convoys of 1942. The Luftwaffe cuts Russia's lifeline. By Mark Lardis, illustrated by Adam Tooby. Between spring and autumn 1942, Germany was winning the Battle of the Arctic Convoys. Half of PQ-15 was sunk in May, PQ-17 was virtually obliterated in July, and in September 30% of PQ-18 was lost. The Allies were forced to suspend the convoys until December, when the long Arctic nights would shield them. In this book, Mark Lardis argues that in 1942 it was Luftwaffe air power that made the difference. With convoys sailing in endless daylight, German strike aircraft, newly equipped and trained for torpedo attacks and based in North Norway, could wreak havoc. 3/4 of the losses of PQ-18 were due to the air attacks, but in November the Luftwaffe was redeployed south to challenge the Allied landings in North Africa, and the advantage was lost. Despite that, the Allies never again sailed an Arctic convoy during the summer months. It's all about that. I have been wanting to read my books that I have now on the campaigns in Norway and about those convoys, which were extremely dangerous. As the description tells you. Okay. And what have I done here? I've done all these. Okay, so 2 more series to show you real quick, if I can make it real quick. These 2 series are Men-at-Arms. I won't really read the descriptions, but we have Men-at-Arms number 546. And what is the Men-at-Arms series? I shall tell you, but this one is the Red Army 1922 to 41, From Civil War to Barbarossa, by Philip Jowett, illustrated by Stephen Walsh. So the Men-at-Arms series just talk about the uniforms, equipment, history, and organization of the world's military forces, past and present. They just range all across the board. And this one obviously focuses on Russian military, particularly the Bolshevik evolution of that, the Red Army. It's got great pictures. I mean, this is such a wealth of information. Even if you're not interested in the topic, but you're interested in the era, they've got all the photography. It's just a historical record, that you can't really access easily. I mean, they're just so rich with photographs. It's a wonderful reference, is what I'm trying to say. Men-at-Arms number 547, and then we have Roman army units in the eastern provinces, and it's part 2. And this is 3rd century AD by Raphael D'Amato and illustrated by Raphael Ruggeri. And this just covers these units that ranging from AD 235 to 284. And someone's ringing the doorbell. Okay, pausing. Okay, thank you. Exciting things are happening here. We've got the landscapers asking us questions, and Boomer wants to bark. But anyway, really cool stuff from Osprey. Now we're going to move into one of my favorite series, Combat. We're going to take a look at Combat number 66, which I love how they kind of pit fighting men and units against each other. And this one is World War I action going on, which is great because I'm reading Catastrophe 1914 by Max Hastings along with Bill Rutenberg for our buddy read. This is Combat. The British cavalrymen. And hang on a second, everybody. Okay, sorry. Martine has to go somewhere and babysitting all the dogs now. So let's hope no more interruptions. This is Combat. British cavalrymen versus German cavalrymen. Belgium and France, 1914, by Alan Steele. So it compares and contrasts these two. I mean, that's what happens here in the Combat series. Let me try to give you... It always starts with a nice introduction. You know, not fairly brief, about a page and a half. And then it goes into the opposing sides, origins, recruitment, talks about the battlefield environment, training beforehand, very in-depth maps with the Combat series, and they give you the numbered bubbles to, you know, kind of follow along on the map, which I love. It was very user-friendly. So, you know, and in World War I, this was it was restricted to 1914, because as I'm also just reading right now about World War I and just remembering everything I have read about World War I, they didn't use cavalry really after 1914, not after the slaughter that ensued on the Eastern Front in particular, and the Battle of Mons and Lacateau, and those early run-ins along the northern line when the Germans were pushing through Belgium towards France. So they learned fairly quick that cavalry were not going to work in this war. This was a new type of war. So this will be interesting to see how that is discussed here as well. And it kind of coincides with what I'm reading right now, so that's fantastic. The next combat I have is combat number 67, and this is, I'm so excited for this one. I love ancient warfare. Okay, look, I mean, I don't love, like, violence and death, but the warfare aspect as far as, you know, just how people utilized the metals that they had, the tools that they made, the weaponry, the strategy, the tactics. I'm just fascinated how, you know, how we're connected, however tenuously, to the past. You know, and we like to think that we're so far advanced, but if you actually study a lot of the ancients and the way that they lived, they're quite advanced. So, not too different from us. Their tools are just different. So we have combat. Hunnic warrior versus late Roman cavalryman. And this covers Attila's Wars, AD 440 to 53, by Murray Dam. And Boomer's mining, that's okay. So this one, the Huns burst on the page of Western European history in the 4th century AD. And this one, let's see, when they started facing off. The Huns repeatedly invaded Roman territory in the mid-5th century, threatening the city of Constantinople. Fighting mostly on horseback, the Huns employed sophisticated tactics that harnessed the formidable power of their bows. They also gained a reputation for their fighting prowess at close quarters. Facing the Huns, the Roman army fielded a variety of cavalry types, from heavily armed and armored clibanarii and cataphracti to horse archers and missile cavalry. Featuring specially commissioned artwork and maps, the study examines the origins, fighting methods, and reputation of the two sides' cavalry forces, with particular reference to the Siege of Nisus, 443, the Battle of the Eudes, which I have never heard of before, 447, and the climactic encounter at Catalanian Plains, 451. There we go. Catalanian Plains. These are very friendly. I love it. I love this artwork. So, those are my Ospreys, guys. These are my slim volumes of the series. So I wanted to show you these new arrivals. Got quite the big Osprey library of titles. trying to figure out a great way to display them because I do love these so much. They're such fun to read. And moving on to some hardcovers, I wanted to show you, this has been out for a little while now, but they were so kind to send me this book, the folks at Osprey. Thank you, Tyler. Oh, I see a... I won't show you. Then we've got Z, Special Unit, The Elite Allied World War II Guerrilla Force by Gavin Mortimer. Nice hardcover. No, what I had opened up to is, I opened this up and then what do I see? What do you guys think I'm seeing here? A bare bottom. All the ladies out there are like, wow, maybe I might be interested in military history. That's a good bottom. Just, you know, I'm a good judge. What am I talking about? I lost track. Who knew you'd open up this book and you just see a naked behind? It's always something here at the History Shelf. Special Unit, Z. Let's talk about it. They were British and Australian soldiers, a collection of ex-public school boys, businessmen, and farmhands, and students. Together they formed one of the most intrepid commando units of the war, and in 1943 inflicted a crippling blow on the mighty Japanese Empire. Gavin Mortimer has scoured British and Australian archives to reveal the incredible story of the origins and operations of a wartime special forces unit whose courage, endurance, and innovation remain unparalleled. It is a tale infused with valor and triumph, but also brutality and tragedy. Fully illustrated with photographs, many of which have never been published before, like the one I just looked at, probably. Z Special Unit is a testament to the bravery of Allied commandos who fought to turn the tide of the war. So this is exciting. I don't think I've ever read about Z. I keep opening back up to chapter 4. Good luck and Godspeed. That's so funny. Well, it looks like they were having a good time in this picture. Yes, I'm going to show it one more time. I don't know why it tickles me. It just does. This looks like a fun read. I'm going to get back to you guys on this one. Oh, I didn't realize I had this one. Okay, so the next brand new release from Osprey, which I was contacted about by the publicist there, Robin, thank you. I'm so happy to share this with you guys because it's always interesting to hear both sides of something, right? I think it is. In recent times, we've seen some new books come out in the last few years, and I think I have it on ebook, about like the German perspective of D-Day, like what their experience was, the guys who were defending those beaches, right? So I find that fascinating. Well, same with this. We know all about the British version or the British side's view of Dunkirk, right? But do we have the Germans' experience of it? No. Well, now we do. Thanks to Osprey. We've got Dunkirchen, 1940, the German view of Dunkirk, by Robert Kershaw. Brand new release from Osprey, and so happy to have this. This is the first major history to uncover what went wrong for the Germans at Dunkirk. As supreme military commander, Hitler had seemingly achieved a miracle after the swift capitulation of Holland and Belgium, but just 7 kilometers outside Dunkirk, the only part through which the trapped British expeditionary force might escape, the panzers came to a shuddering stop. Hitler had lost control of his stunning advance. Only a detailed interpretation of the German perspective, historically lacking to date, can provide answers as to why. So this is an important book in the field. I haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to, because if this is something that really has been missing in the accounts, then this is vital. And what a revelation to us history fans that feel like we've read just about everything and we know all the different viewpoints. Well, this one maybe not. Drawing on his own military experience, his German language skills, and his historian's eye for detail, Robert Kershaw creates a new history of this famous battle, which delves into the under-evaluated major miscalculations of the Germans, both strategic and tactical, that arguably cost Hitler the war. All right, so this is out now from Osprey. Check in with your libraries or check it out online. Pick up a copy if you are really interested in Dunkirk. This book I meant to maybe group with the others. There's another series that Osprey puts out, which is really, I like it. They're brief overviews. You've seen a few of them on this channel before. They're called Essential Histories. They're smaller. They're this size. And I got a new one. This one is The Chinese Civil War. 1945 to 49 by Michael Lynch. Essential Histories. Small. It's not the full size of the others. Kind of, you see the difference in sizing there. But the essential histories are great. They just kind of whet your appetite for more. But richly illustrated. We got a photograph of little Mao right there. Color photos. So let's talk about this one real quick. And this one has been updated and revised, so that's fantastic. Updated and revised for the new edition. Between the end of World War II and the dawn of the Cold War, one of the most important conflicts in modern history reached its climax. In this illustrated history, best-selling historian Dr. Michael Lynch examines how the long struggle between Chiang Kai-shek's nationalists and Mao Zedong's communists exploded into an intense, brutal, and ruthlessly fought civil war. Delving into the political background and complex ramifications of the conflict, he assesses Mao and Chiang's millions-strong armies, their strategies and commanders, and the critical campaigns that won and lost China. By 1949, the nationalist government was defeated and in exile in Taiwan, and the new People's Republic of China was ready to emerge as a major Cold War power. So again, slim volume. These are not numbered, they're just essential histories. And there's Chiang Kai-shek. That guy. Nope, I take that back. I should know better. Chiang Kai-shek had the mustache. This is Nai Rongzhen. Oh, he was a communist. Yeah, he was a communist. Played a key role in the communist takeover. Okay, where's Chiang? Chiang Kai-shek. Want to show you a picture of him? Come on now. Okay, well this is a young Chiang Kai-shek right here. So these are the two opposing guys here as young men, Mao and Chiang. So there you have it. Okay, so that should have been with the paperbacks. Let's go back over to one of the another brand new Osprey hardcover release out right now. Something I hadn't heard of before. But but this campaign in World War II, I'm really kind of geeking out on, whether in movies or in some of the books that I have that I'm dipping into and I'm reading about, and that is Guadalcanal. But this is the Cactus Air Force, Air War over Guadalcanal by Eric Hamill and Thomas McKelvey Cleaver. Oh, we just heard that name. Yeah, he just wrote one of these other books here that I was just reading about. Which one was he doing? That is so funny. I think he did one of the air... Yeah, he did the air campaign. He did the air campaign, the Gothic line. So Thomas McKelvey Cleaver had written about the Gothic line. So brand new hardcover. So what does this one cover here? So the Battle of Guadalcanal was the first offensive operation undertaken by the U.S. and its allies in the Pacific War. The 3 months of air battles between August 20th, 1942, when the 1st Marine Air Unit arrived on the island, and November 15th, when the last enemy attempt to retake the island was defeated, were perhaps the most important of the Pacific theater. Cactus, the code name for the island, became a sinkhole for Japanese air and naval power, as they experienced losses that could never be made good. For 40 years, the late Eric Hamill interviewed more than 150 American participants in the air campaign at Guadalcanal, none of whom are still alive. These interviews are the most comprehensive first-person accounts of the battle assembled by any historian. That alone is the price of this book. How else are you going to have that information or find it? This is amazing. I'm so excited. More importantly, they involve the junior officers and enlisted men whose stories and memories were not part of the official history, and thus provide a unique insight. In the Cactus Air Force, Pacific War expert Thomas McKelvey Cleaver worked closely with Eric to build on his collection of diary entries, interviews, and first-hand accounts to create a vivid narrative of the struggle in the air over the island of Guadalcanal between August 20th and November 15th, 1942. How amazing is that? I am very excited to get into this one. Very. There's so many. I mean, obviously, I'm excited about all of these. Is it possible to be excited about every book you come across? Yes, if you're me. I have this hunger for learning. I just want to keep learning. You know? And that's why I have such a large library of books that still need to be read, because it's just like I intend to read them, and because I want to learn. A friend at work shared a little article with me. I should share with you guys about. I'll have to get into it later. But it was about like this. I think it's a Japanese tradition of like having a large library of books that you haven't read yet, and that it's actually really good for you. And here's the reason why. It's because it really indicates that you have this unquenchable desire to learn, and it encourages you to keep reading. I don't know. It was interesting, and I want to share that with you. I'll try to find a way to share that either on my social networks or whatnot. But here's the final book, as Boomer loses his mind because Martine didn't take him on the car ride with her. We've got The Mighty Eighth, Masters of the Air over Europe, 1942 to 45, by Donald Nijboer, or Nijboer. Boomer! Lay down. Sorry, guys. So this is a superbly illustrated book. Let me just tell you. Oh, got more beautiful artwork. Wow, it's just stunning. Photographs. All right, so this beautiful kind of like coffee table size book, it says, join us for an exploration of the U.S. 8th Air Force's bomber, fighter, and recon planes, its incredibly brave airmen and hardworking ground crews, and the myriad missions and dramatic operations, including Point Blank, Argument, and the Oil Campaign, of America's post-1942 contribution to the destruction of Nazi Germany's ability to wage war. Packed with dozens of intricate color aircraft profiles, vivid battle scene artworks, technical illustrations, tactical diagrams, and period photographs and charts, The Mighty Eighth presents you with a wide-ranging look at the illustrious history of the U.S. 8th Air Force in World War II. So this is something I don't know a lot about. I haven't read much about the 8th Air Force, but wow. Should be a fairly quick read. I mean, it's just lots of illustrations. The typeset is kind of like very wide margins. But how neat is that? Another great new release from Osprey. So there you have it, friends. As more Ospreys come in, you know I will collect them up and I will deliver you another video of these wonderful new releases in military history. Some very slim and kind of overviews, just get you kind of teased with it, and you can go on to further research, or something more in depth, that kind of takes awesome research and interviews with soldiers who are no longer with us and gives us a perspective that we never had before. So just great work from Osprey and all the authors who work with them, and I'm so pleased to have a chance to share these with you guys. So let me know in the comments below what you think. What interested you? Until next time, thanks for watching, and see you soon on the History Shelf. Bye.